Welcome to the Jockey Club, a podcast looking at the movie Let It Ride, one scene at a time. My name is Dan Delgado, and we're at historic Hialeah Park where one man is having the best day of his life.
I'm having a good day.
So come on in and hang out while we talk about this day and the greatest movie of all time, Let It Ride. Don't worry about that guy at the door. I've got you covered. You can even
take my seat to the Jockey Club.
Welcome back to the Jockey Club. This episode, we're discussing the second scene of Let It Ride, which, if you're playing along at home, this is where Trotter meets Looney, and here's the tape that sets everything in motion. It's from minute 4:14 to minute 7:52. Joining me at my usual table for the second time in a row is Eric Delgado, a longtime gambler, the person I saw Let It Ride with, and yes, he is my brother. We'll also be discussing the other movies released that same weekend as Let It Ride and how Eric fell into becoming a gambler himself. So here we're looking the second scene. All right, Let It Ride. And this is immediately following where we were at the Chinese restaurant. And, you know, Eric, I do want to point out that we are recording this one after we've already discussed the third scene, and I've already done up to scene 7, but I had not done this one.
Spoiler.
Yeah, I had not done this one, so I'm kind of getting back to it. And I only say that because maybe some things that you and I have already discussed will come up again, and now if you're listening to this in order, you know.
Yeah, we have continuity problems.
Exactly. We want to keep everything continuity fresh.
We'll do the best we can.
All right, so here we delve into this scene is the only evidence, I think, that this movie is in Miami. Right? Right? It could be anywhere else. But this scene is the only time you see the city. So here is where you see the overhead shots of Miami. You see some of the buildings. You see the dirty streets that Looney is driving the cab in.
Oh, yeah. It's not pretty Miami.
They're not out to try to sell you to come and visit, right?
Right. It looks kind of like the Miami on, like, Grand Theft Auto.
Vice City?
Like when, yeah, like Vice City. Right. Like, yeah, don't stall or get a flat there.
Right. Yes. And so here's where we first see Looney. He's driving the cab. And while he's driving the cab, in the back, there's the couple that's making out. You see the little sign that says that the driver cannot hear you.
Driver cannot hear you.
But
it's awful.
It is, because then we immediately now see that Looney is wearing headphones that goes to a tape recorder, and he obviously has a microphone back there, and he is listening to everything that's going on. And he has a big grin on his face as he hears the two people getting hot and heavy back there.
Oh, it's like the Cheshire Cat kind of grin. It's a disgusting grin.
Yes.
It's like porn guy kind of grin.
Yeah, it kind of really informs you a lot about Looney right away, right?
Yes, he's so unseemly.
Yeah, you're kind of like, oh, okay, maybe this is not somebody that I would want to hang around with.
No, I remember this. I remember immediately thinking he was disgusting.
It's
just absolutely disgusting. But the smile is what does it too, because there's no opinion before that. He's obviously doing it, but who knows what his motives are. But then when you see that he's kind of like, yeah.
Oh, yeah. You can tell that this is just what I do for kicks. This is just fun.
Yes,
right? There's no ulterior motive. There's no thought beyond I'm going to listen to this later and enjoy myself. Right?
Right.
And it does make me wonder how often nutty things are happening in the back of his cab that he says, oh, you know what would be a great idea? If I recorded some of this.
Yeah, I have to now, right? Because this is better than TV.
Exactly, yeah. All of a sudden, this is way more entertaining.
Yeah.
So after we see this, we're now going to be at the location that I wish I could find. It's the place called the Mirtha Cafeteria. I don't know where this is. It's some, I don't know, restaurant, some stand with a ventanita, you know.
It's like I got you right. The little outdoor whatever they're getting there. I don't even know what they're getting.
I'm gonna guess they're getting a Cuban sandwich at this place. Like,
Okay.
Right, something along those
Yeah.
lines is what's happening there. And so Trotter is meeting up with Looney. Looney is very excited because he wants to play him the tape of
Right.
what he just recorded.
Yes.
And he has one of my favorite lines here is where he says, "I want you to hear this kinky business."
There was nothing. I want you to hear this kinky business.
Yes, right. He's got two lines. One is the juicy smut.
Oh,
and then kinky business. Right. He follows it up with kinky, but like juicy smut wasn't enough. He was like, I'm trying to draw you in. You got to listen to this juicy smut. And then Trotter's not interested in that.
No.
Because he hears the other conversation. And then he's like, no, never mind that. You got to hear this kinky business. The guy puts a pillowcase over this girl's head.
Yeah, there is something about the kind of guy who is wanting to share the weird porn that he just recorded in the back of his car.
This isn't like mainstream porn. He's talking, what is the pillowcase situation? As soon as he says that, I'm really disgusted. I'm like afraid of what's going on.
Yeah,
why are they doing that to her?
Shouldn't you be kicking these people out of your cab?
Right. He's like getting better sound when that's happening instead.
So, yes, exactly what you say, though. He goes to play him the tape. Trotter is not,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear it. He starts and he plays the wrong part of the tape. And this is where we hear the much more interesting conversation of the horse-owning conspirators mentioning that they held the horse back.
Right.
And that would be illegal. No, I'm not telling you that. All I'm telling you is, bet the horse heavy, you'll laugh all the way to the bank.
All the way to the bank.
Yeah. Such wonderfully dramatic terms that these people speak in.
Oh my gosh. I will tell you, at that moment,
Yeah.
that's a big moment in the movie for me.
Oh.
Because as you know, I'm becoming somebody who allegedly knows what they're doing down at the track. Mm-hmm. And
Yes.
so to even consider what just is happening in the back seat of that cab, I'm just as excited as Jay Trotter in the moment. Because wait a minute, you're telling me you've got the winner? That's fantastic. I can't believe it myself. So I'm immediately drawn in because I don't think that we know exactly what's going to happen in this story. I guess we've seen the trailer.
All right, so when it comes to this movie, all I knew is that it was kind of about horse racing. I didn't know anything else about this at all. I remember
You're a poor baby.
I remember seeing ads on TV, and I think I had seen a trailer with something else.
Yeah.
But I didn't pay that much attention to it. So
Right.
I had no idea.
Yeah, I don't think I knew much either, other than that was the one this week.
Yeah.
And it might have been, I might have had some insight because I did lobby for this one.
You did?
Instead of,
Okay.
Yeah, versus, this is when you were lobbying for, is this Casualties of War?
Oh my God! Yeah. Oh sure. Like if you want, I can explain this story very well.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so here's how I ended up seeing Let It Ride, which I had a movie I had no intention of ever seeing, and
Lucky bastard.
Me and you, Eric, we were both very excited about the Vietnam film Casualties of War that was coming out that weekend, which I don't know why I would be excited about that movie if I think
Michael
about
J.
it.
Fox.
Yes.
Sean Penn.
Yes.
Brian De Palma.
Yes. All of those things. Those things are all true. I was familiar with all of those people, and so yes. But still, Vietnam movie does not exactly sound like a good time. And
yeah.
And somewhere along the way, I think you got hipped up that as far as Vietnam movies go, this one is way less fun than anything else that you've already experienced, right? Like
I knew the general story of this one.
And so you really try to talk me out of it. Let's not see this. I don't know that, and I think you kind of put it on me a little, like, I don't know that you can handle this. Because I remember it felt very...
Without a doubt.
Very, like... Now, mind you, people may not realize this. I'm 14, not quite 15.
14.
Not quite 15, but I felt very insulted. And so we had this loud debate.
Yes.
You eventually brought in our father.
Yes.
And then you went ahead and said, this is what's going on. He wants to see this. It's this disturbing Vietnam film. It's got a bunch of rapes. It's nothing that this young boy should be seeing, blah, blah, blah. And Dad said, you can't see that movie. That's what he told me.
He dropped the hammer.
He dropped the hammer, and then that was it. And so then I was like, whatever. Yeah. So we were still going to the movies, but I was like, I didn't care what we were going to see. Now, interesting, though, because this weekend also has the very exciting Rude Awakening is out. Do you remember this movie?
Oh, is this like the Cheech and Chong or something?
It's just Cheech.
It's Cheech?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if that's better or worse.
No, that movie that movie stinks.
No, I mean better or worse without Chong.
Oh, yeah. It's so not a good movie.
Is it like Julie Haggerty or something?
Yes.
Why do I know that? Yeah, that's ridiculous. I've never seen it.
Yeah, I believe it's Eric Roberts and Cheech, and then Julie Haggerty and Robert Carradine. And
oh, really?
And they were like, hippies, and they never got out of the commune or something, and they're just coming out now, and they go.
Okay.
And then they go looking for Julie Haggerty, and she's now
so they're
a yuppie.
expecting it to. Right, they think it's going to still be the late 60s or something like that.
Right, yeah.
Okay, that sounds like the premise sounds sort of funny.
It sounds sort of amusing, yeah.
Not with those people, though.
It's just not a good movie.
Oh, wow. So you've seen it.
Oh, yeah, I saw it, sure.
Good man.
Yeah,
Me know.
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Yeah. But also, Uncle Buck had just opened as well.
Wow.
And so that I'm a little surprised you didn't go in that direction.
Right.
Because this this could be an entirely different podcast if you had.
Without a doubt. I mean, that might be our next one now that you say that. Okay, I guess for me, because I'll just tell you, I came late to the Uncle Buck party.
Oh, yeah. I didn't see it until I saw it in school a year later. When they it's like movie day. They put it in. It's like, oh, this is actually pretty good.
I think I was later than that. I can't remember exactly. I was like blown away how good it was. But I think at the time it was like, oh, here we go with the little kid movies. So I'm too cool for that. So that's probably why I knew what that was and had just moved on. I want the like degenerate gambler movie. Let's go. It's interesting about Dad. I just was thinking that who knew that he would, with him, everything's a crapshoot. So me presenting that information to him and then him lining up with me, like exactly, that's a bit of a surprise. Like I don't remember what I told him exactly, but obviously
I don't either.
And now. All right, so now wait. Give your opinion about whether or not that was the right decision about that.
Oh, it was very much the right call. It was very much the right call. So there's no doubt. It was the right call for a lot of reasons, right?
Right. Because of what we did anyway.
Right, exactly. Because first of all, we ended up seeing this movie, which we're still talking about over 30 years later, right? I mean, eventually I did see Casualties of War. Not a fun time. It's a very unpleasant movie. I'm sure I could have survived it, but I could have done without seeing it, I suppose.
Do you want to enjoy it again?
I probably will never watch that movie again.
There you go.
I will probably never sit through that again. Yeah.
Is that one for your daughter?
Oh, no.
Oh, it's like a never?
Oh, yeah, no, I don't think I would watch that again. Like, it's the kind, well, all right, so let me put one little caveat. Mm-hmm. If my daughter was like, I want to watch this with me, please, because I need I need someone to get through it. That's the one case. That's the one time.
I'm gonna cry right now.
Right?
Seriously.
Yeah.
That's so messed up. Yeah.
There you go. That's the only way. Otherwise, forget it. No thanks. It's a pass.
Man, this is not what this podcast is about. But
no, it's not.
Anyway, all right. So, back to the fun.
So, also out that week was the Keith Coogan Disney film, Cheetah.
Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
Do
you even know this movie that exists?
Nope. Right. Nope. What is this?
Okay, so it takes place I believe it takes place in Africa, and it's about a cheetah, and it has Keith Coogan, and it was made by the Disney Corporation. I've given you all the information that I know about this movie.
Man. So that was not the big box office winner, I'm guessing.
No, as it turns out, it was not.
Did it win the weekend?
No. Okay, I know this. It finished in 10th place.
Okay. So, yeah, it wasn't even consideration.
No.
And that's so Rude Awakening beats Cheetah, is what you're saying?
No, well, that's a good question. I think Let It Ride and Rude Awakening both finish outside of the top 10
I know, that sucks.
that week.
That sucks.
You know what? In fact, I'll tell you what. I will even share. Let's see. Yeah, okay, so Rude Awakening does worse than Let It Ride. It finishes 14th. Let It Ride finishes 12th.
Yeah, I knew that.
Okay, so
Yeah.
All right, so this for fun. Number 11 that week was Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. It had already been out for 9 weeks.
Oh, I was like, okay. Yeah. 9 weeks and it's still 11. That movie was that was an earner.
Let's see, there's Cheetah. That was number 10. Number 7 was Batman. Number 8 was Nightmare on Elm Street 5. Number 7 was Turner and Hooch. Number 6 was Lethal Weapon 2, 7 weeks in.
Damn.
Number 5 was When Harry Met Sally, 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
Number 4.
This is a star-studded list. Go ahead.
Oh, well, let me tell you, Summer 89 kills. That summer kills.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Number 4, Casualties of War. Number 3, The Abyss. And number 2, Parenthood. And number 1, Uncle Buck.
Wow. So Uncle Buck debuts at number 1.
Debuts at number 1. Yep.
Nice. I didn't know that. That's great.
Oh, and I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I forgot. We have a late entry into the game here.
Yeah.
In about half as many theaters as the other movies, Eddie and the Cruisers 2, Eddie Lives.
Ugh, Eddie Lives. That's such a horror movie title.
It really is. Yeah, it finishes in 19th place.
Ooh, The Return of Eddie.
Yes.
Is it even? It is Michael Pare, right?
Yeah, it's Michael Pare.
Wouldn't surprise me if it was more like Dale Midkiff, whoever the hell. Michael Ontkeen. Pick your Michael.
Whoever you got.
Yeah, exactly. Nice work.
All right,
it really is a star-studded list.
It is.
It
is.
That's a massive list.
Yeah, and it also kind of points to why are we releasing this movie at this time? It feels like, and I hadn't thought about it until recently, but it kind of feels like that end of summer, just dump a movie out there, we don't really believe in this. It had been moved up a month. It was supposed to come out sometime, I believe, at the end of September is the original release date. And so then, I don't know. I think they just decided...
Hey, that's when Stakeout comes out. The year before or the 2 years before?
2 years before, 87.
Yeah,
Stakeout.
so, that one was, 7 weeks at number 1.
7?
Yeah, did you know that?
I knew it was a lot. I did not know it was something like 7. It's a lot.
It's not consecutive. It's 5 consecutive and then 2 more.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, then something else beats it. Fine. But it's the most paltry sum of a 7-week run maybe ever.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, whatever it is. I mean, what did it do? 80 million, something like that.
80 million is very healthy in 1987.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. It is. But it's not it's doing 5 million a week or whatever, something like that, for quite a while. It's still winning. But anyway, so that might be why they were hoping for September.
Yeah, maybe. It feels like it would make more sense than to put it bumping up against summer movies that are still hanging around. And then a week where you've got, 4 other releases. I mean, 5.
You're right.
5 if you're counting Eddie and the Cruisers 2. Which
it's in big trouble. Right. Plus, you've got some monsters just hanging.
But the real thing that we need to discuss is that the only way she can lose is if she gets struck by lightning in the starting gate. That is what we hear. Right. That is what Trotter hears. And that's the only thing he wants to talk about. This is the point where he hears it and he freaks out.
Right. Absolutely. Anybody in his position is going to feel the same way if you are in it to win. And that's him.
He's in it to win, you think?
Absolutely. Okay. He references in that first scene, this is what I was thinking about. He references when, they're playing with the fortune cookies and whatnot. He says, if I could just have one day.
Right.
And then it says you could be walking around lucky.
And not know it.
And he says, not this horse. Right?
Right, yeah.
So he laments the fact that he hasn't had that big day, that he hasn't had that big win, because that's what he's in it for. And I was thinking about the difference between him and Looney, and they are very different types of gambling addicts, but because Trotter's always chasing the high.
Right.
And so he's never getting that. And so here's an opportunity immediately when it comes to him. He's got a chance at that ultimate high, which is, I mean, geez, on top of just picking the right one. Can you imagine getting this inside information
Right.
on a short thing? These guys seem they couldn't be more authentic, these two guys. So the guys in the car, right, that he records.
Oh, okay, yeah. Those guys, yes,
Yeah.
they definitely sound legit. They're talking. Who else is having a conversation about a horse and that you've been holding him back for the last few races? And
Exactly.
bet the horse heavy, you'll laugh all the way to the bank. Like that.
What?
Where does that happen? Those guys have to be legit.
There's no other reason to have that conversation in the back of the cab. What? Not that they'd even consider messing with Looney, right? It makes no sense. The whole story does make sense. It's not just, hey, I got a tip on a sure thing. It's like you said, there's some background to that.
Right, yes. There's a little bit of added information to make it sound more authentic.
Right, and between the two of them, one of them's a little more skeptical even. Wait, are you sure the track officials aren't going to be involved in this? Bet the horse heavy.
Yeah.
You'll laugh all the way to the bank. Yeah, when you so if you're Trotter, I mean, this is manna from heaven. This was for a guy like him. And so I'm convinced that, he's absolutely in it to win it. He's not the kind of gambler that is doing it to, like, punish himself. So he's absolutely going to go bananas for this, and he does characteristically.
Okay, now, that's true. He absolutely freaks out.
Yeah.
Looney, as you said, you're telling me he's a different kind of an addict, of a gambling addict. His reaction is completely different. And for a guy who goes to the track seemingly every day, like Looney does.
Right.
He goes often enough that when he goes to the bar that's across the street from the track, everybody knows him. He knows
Looney!
Everybody. So clearly this is a man who's going to the track all the time. How he would hear this conversation and interpret it as though he says, who would believe bullshit like that? And also, I like the fact that this is two guys rehearsing for a play. One of the all-time lamer things that you could say, like if you're in a sitcom, you would come up with a line like this. But nonetheless, this is his like it's too good to be true, so therefore it is not.
Right. Okay. So there's a point where he crystallizes this issue that he has when he is speaking to Trotter about, like, how he's betrayed him.
Oh yeah.
And so what he says is that I'm the kind of guy who knows not to bet on a sure thing.
Yes.
He explains that like as if this is some, like this is a
cardinal rule,
a quality trait. Like, at least I know not to bet on a sure thing.
Like this is his morality.
Right.
Okay.
And so he's convinced himself of that. Right, like that, and I think the reason that he convinces himself of that is because he is a gambler who wants to lose. And this is too deeply psychological for me to. I just know it exists, right? Like I know this is a thing. We've seen this in a couple other movies. What's the one with Warren Beatty? Do you know this one with Elizabeth Taylor? And Warren Beatty, and he's a classic example of that kind of gambler because he has a run in the film. He's a loser, and then he has this great run where he can't be beat, and he keeps on pushing it all in. And I think it's he's playing craps, and he even goes and calls her up to tell her, I'm up 700,000, whatever it is, something insane. And as the viewer, you're like on a high with him. A scene, obviously, it's like sometime later, and he's sitting out by a fountain, and he's got like his last dollar, and he's lost everything. He's lost all of it. And you're saying, why the fuck did you not get out? How do you not get out? When is it going to be enough? And obviously, that's a psychological thing that, that it's never enough, so... Ultimately, you're going to lose. What's his name in?
It's the only game in town, by the way.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yes, So what about Burt Reynolds in Heat?
Oh, okay.
Right?
Yes.
It's the same thing. He keeps doubling it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that one's so heartbreaking. Oh my gosh. So anyway, so I've seen this happen, right? You've seen this depicted, and I think Looney's the same type of guy. You don't see him win, right?
Oh, no,
But
not at all.
He never stops. And then he even mentions about betting on the Packers and maybe they won't lose by too much.
Right. Yes, that's right. Yes.
Right.
Which is
So
just,
there's-
it's just dumb. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's another example. Like it's almost it's starting to come out of him. He's manifesting it out loud, right?
Yeah, yes, exactly. He is somebody who seems like he has a compulsion to lose, even though
Yeah.
he's not calling it that. I don't think if you asked him, he would tell you that's
Right.
what he wants. But yeah,
Right.
that's something that's just within him. But yeah, maybe I'll
Right.
bet on the Packers. Maybe they won't lose so bad. Yeah.
So, okay, then there's the ultimate one of our favorite lines of the movie. We say it all. Oh, geez, we say this so often. This might be the one we say more than anything.
Oh, really?
Which is, yeah, when he on the last bet, Trotter comes in. He says to the crowd, "I bet $2 on the favorite," and everybody's like, "Yeah, yeah." And then he leans in to Looney and he says, "I put every last nickel on Hot to Trot on her pretty little nose or something like that."
Right. Yes. Yes.
And then Looney says, "What?"
He pissed it all away.
Right,
You know,
and the
he
crowd
like
goes
announces
crazy.
it to the crowd. Yeah, he's pissed,
Yes.
and everyone cheers for this insanity.
Right.
Yes.
And he's happy, right? He doesn't say it like he's angry. He pissed it all away. He says he pissed it all away.
Yes.
You know, like, yay, right?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
That's the perfect example of that. That's the perfect characterization of, it's like he's cheering for the idea that he would have lost it all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So-
this is impending now. Now it's impending.
Yes.
He's going to lose. He's going to be exactly where he belongs, which is
Right.
as a bust out loser, just like me.
Just like me.
Oh.
Right. Thanks for being down here, dwelling down here with the losers. Because for a minute, and when you think about the betrayal, that's like starting to make sense to me, like why that would happen. Look at you. You're winning and you keep winning. What are you doing? This isn't what we do. We come here to lose.
Yeah. That's right.
And we bond over the losing.
Yes. That's right. We
Right?
bond. Well, I like that. I like that we
Yeah.
bond over the losing. It's the losing
Yeah.
that binds us together. That's where our friendship
Yeah.
is. Our friendship is
Yes.
in the misery. I mean, let's
Right.
not be so basic as to say misery loves company, but misery loves company.
Yes.
Yeah.
And when he goes and starts to go the other way, it's like Looney can't hang with that.
It does feel
You
like
know,
a betrayal. Okay.
Yes.
I like where you're
right?
going
like
here. I like this.
That's starting to make a lot of sense. So in the beginning, if you're really paying it, like who is though, he's just hilarious when he's doing it. But you know, when he's rehearsing for a play and all that nonsense, it's just funny.
Yes.
But it makes sense that he's like, no, we're not doing that. What are you talking? No, let's not bet. Listen to this juicy smut instead over here. And then you see right away the difference between the two characters, because Jay's like, what are you talking about?
You are a jackass. Which I think is this maybe the first super intense Dreyfus delivery that we get in the movie because
Yeah. Yes. That's the first one.
movie is full of all of his Dreyfus isms. Whatever it is that he does, the movie is overloaded with them. No movie
You're right.
he's been in has more of whatever it is that he has, right? This one
No,
is the one
you're
that
right.
has the most. And this is
Oh, turn him loose.
yeah. And
Yeah.
and this is I think the first time that comes is the what? You so funny.
You are a jackass.
You're right. It's definitely the first one because I remember being surprised by the tone immediately. Like, whoa, where are we going? These guys are, just two pals. But he goes and just calls him out like, obviously, this is some, other level of friendship. Like, I don't have too many friends that I could have reacted that way to, and call them out in such a way. It's like it's not realistic.
Well,
you know?
well, yeah. I think for Trotter, he wants this to be real so much that the idea that it's too good to be true is just insulting, and he's going to immediately call it out because of that. You are a jackass. You're so dumb.
And that's a perfect way to make the argument. And if you're anybody but a moron, you would agree. Oh, I guess I guess I don't like lightning. Again, taking everything at face value. Okay, let's assume that's what he's doing. He's saying, look, if everything we just heard is legitimate, excluding your notion that they're rehearsing for a play, which the odds of that are 1,000 to 1. So let's exclude that. Now, again, they're talking realistically. What could be wrong with this premise?
Right.
The lightning? That's what because he did say that. So if you like lightning, okay, anybody normal would go, you're right, I'm being an idiot. Not him. Mm-hmm. He doesn't even want to bet on that horse. He doesn't want to, like, something's telling him, right? Something's compelling him.
Yes.
To not bet on that horse. He'd rather bet on his one named after his cat.
Junebug. Okay.
Junebug.
So there is the other thing that happens in this scene in which Looney quickly reminds Trotter, you've forgotten something, though. You quit gambling. You've forgotten.
Hey.
You forgot.
Hey, Trotter, remember something?
Yeah, that's right.
You quit gambling.
You quit gambling. Yeah.
Remember something. Nobody's ever said it that way that I've ever heard, other than Looney.
Yes.
Can you please remember something?
And so now here is where Trotter is going to completely rationalize the insane, like, it is a fairly big risk that he's taking. He's going to go back on his word that he would give up gambling, that he would move back in with his wife first thing in the morning after his shift of driving a cab. And like, these were the promises that he made. We heard him make these promises in the previous scene, and he's already like, he's already out.
I agree, and you could easily criticize him for that, but man, again, being realistic about the moment.
Yeah.
This is, I don't know. I mean, obviously, I'm going to be just like Trotter, and I'm going to be more than that, because I'm going to be selling my VCR. I'm not just coming with the $50 that, is in my little stash.
Right.
I'm coming heavy on this deal. Whatever it is, the rent money is, whatever's in the cookie jar, whatever comic book I can, offload. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I don't know who would be turning this down. So he's going to be in hot water with the missus. Mm-hmm. But, if he wins, and we don't know this, but to me, it makes it seem like he must lose just a lot.
A ton. Of course he does. He loses a ton.
Yeah.
He loses all the time.
Yeah, and it almost is incongruous with the fact that he's pretty savvy as a horse player. It's hard to get to the point with him because, look, I got a guy, and this guy from our past, Fast Eddie.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yes, but just bringing a name like that into a podcast is,
dude.
It sounds like you're just making shit up. Yeah,
Yep.
I got a guy, Fast Eddie. What?
Yep, he's a real guy.
Is this a character from the movie we're discussing? No, he's a real person. Yes.
And when I first met him, I had a hard time believing that they called him Fast Eddie.
Yeah, because he didn't move very fast.
He didn't move fast.
Yeah, there was nothing fast about him.
No, he looked like. He definitely belonged in the bar at the...
Oh, my God, yes.
So the thing about Fast Eddie is that even though everything about him screamed loser, that guy had stories for me about big wins at the track.
Right.
So in the aggregate, he's a loser. He's sitting here with nothing,
yes.
Right? He's always scraping nickels.
Yes.
But at some point, that's his problem, is that he can't hold on to it. But... he had stories, and I think not to get too deep, even though we could do a whole podcast about this guy, but this guy, he really is the guy that introduces me to almost any of the gambling.
Really?
He's how it starts.
Oh, I don't think I knew that. Okay.
And the way it starts from quite a distance, because he's talking. Yeah, all right. He's a delivery driver at the restaurant that I'm an assistant manager of, and the restaurant is run as loose as could be.
Right.
This guy is able to. It's a really nice setup in there, and he's got no business being behind the line or in the kitchen at all. But he's a guy that will walk throughout and talk to everybody and bring his dirty windbreaker near the food and get the hell out of here.
Yeah.
He is constantly talking about his horse racing tips and time he spends there, when he's going to go.
Right.
And I know nothing about this at all when he starts. He's got a couple of guys that he talks to that work in the kitchen. He collaborates with. Okay, yeah, let's go together on a trifecta. Let's do $50 here, etc. Stuff like that is happening all the time. And so just because it looks like fun and I'm curious, I'm like, what's going on here? And he immediately, and he's like, well, look, I got a horse here I really like. I heard this from one of the guys in the stables. He was a guy that lived at the track.
I'm sorry. I heard this from the guys in the stables.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's a guy. He's always
connected.
getting.
Jesus.
Oh yeah, he's all in and out. He's just like he's part of the landscape. This guy.
Okay.
And so he would come in and he'd say, I heard this, I heard that, and at the time, I had nothing but disposable income. So I was like, well, what do how do you do it? What do you do? How do you turn it into money? And he's like, well, you give me X and I'll bet it for you.
You give me X. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, and then we go. Do you want to be in? And then he's showing me like the results. He's like, look, I picked this horse right here. You see this? And he's showing me the newspaper. I picked this. Look, this is what we got. I paid $12.80, okay? And I'm like, okay, I have no idea at all.
Did you make money dealing with this guy?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Wow.
And look, this is the blessing and the curse, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so it works out like immediately it's dividends. So I'm giving him whatever I give him, $20,
right,
something like that at first. Okay, here. And so I don't even see the horse. I see nothing, right? I just don't know until the next day. I come in.
My God. Would you do this today? Would you give some sketchy guy some cash and he say, I'm going to go bet it for you? And then...
Yeah, absolutely not.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, absolutely not. No, this is me at like 18, 19.
Yeah, okay.
And of course, keep in mind, the environment is, this guy is part of the restaurant family.
Yeah.
This guy has a level of trust with the owner.
Okay.
And so I don't have any reason to really doubt him. And the $20 isn't that big of a deal. So, I'm in there at like 8, 9 o'clock. And he doesn't come in until 11, so it's not only till the next day. It's the next day and then throughout the day when he comes in.
Who knows
and
what he did?
with,
who knows what we bet on?
Right.
And where he went?
Exactly.
If he just drank it, who knows? Jesus.
Right? So he tells me about this horse over here, and I give him a nice, I'm just kind of letting it ride. Eventually, I give him who knows what, maybe $100 or something like that for some race, and that horse wins because I know now to start checking, right? I figure out ways to do that.
Okay.
And so he comes in the next day, and the first thing he says is that the horse lost.
He lies. He's been prepping you this whole time,
right,
sucker.
Yeah. Well, if what he could be doing, right, he could be manipulating when he bets and when he doesn't bet and using it for other things, right? I mean, there isn't that big, it's not that big of a haul to get $100 out of me for that to be the scam. I think that he just figures, right, this one paid really well. I want to keep it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because the $100 is now like $300, something like that.
Okay.
It's a big score, right?
All right.
So that's when he wants to tell me that it didn't make it. But I already know. Like, I'm waiting for him. And I guess he figures he hasn't been checking, etc. So then I call him out on that. And then he tells me, well, you know what happened? I didn't want to tell you, but I didn't make it. I didn't get there. So I know I owe you $100, right? And I'm like, what?
Oh.
No. How does this work, right? So I end up eventually like the argument gets so out of control that the owner comes around and he's like, what's the deal? And I tell him, look, here's what happened. And he's like, you piece of shit. He's like, you owe this kid his fucking money. You're going to pay him his fucking money, right?
Oh, my God.
And it was like, yes, that's right.
All right.
So after that,
Yeah.
Fast Eddie and I, not so great.
Not such great pals anymore. Okay.
Not such great pals. But the point is that guy had stories of like big scores, and he was legitimately savvy, even though he may not be as good as managing his money.
Yeah.
So somebody like Trotter is similar in that way, but it seems like, man, does that guy ever win with all his knowledge? You'd think he would win sometimes, but he never expresses that, right? Not this horse.
No, we don't get the impression that Trotter is ever any kind of a winner. We think he's probably somewhere along the lines of Looney, right? I mean, and I hate to continue to go back to that deleted scene, but you really get the impression that he's rock bottom at the beginning of this film, if you want to include that in there. And in fact, it's in there that he says how he can't get a job anymore, and so his friend, he has a good friend of his who, I want to say he mentions whatever his education level is, loonies. Like, he didn't even graduate 5th grade, but he has a job driving a cab, and he allows me to drive his cab at night for him, which is what's happening in this scene. This scene, which it's never explained, right? So after this exchange where Trotter rationalizes why he's going to risk everything, when Looney reminds him that he gave up gambling, we see Trotter at the end of the scene. He's driving now in the cab, and he's listening to the tape over and over again, just rewinding and listening to the two guys conspiring and just mouthing the words along. He's in ecstasy, right?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
It's pure joy.
And so what I've now come to realize is that Trotter just did not... I always thought Trotter just took the headphones. And
absolutely, me too.
But
yes,
now I realize
makes no sense.
Now I realize he's driving Looney's cab. Looney meets him at night at the Mirtha cafeteria, wherever that is, and they, have a Cuban sandwich, and they pass the keys, and here you go, drive my cab for the rest of the night.
Yeah, it seems like a routine when you put in all that background.
Yes.
That's exactly how it happens. And so this time it just happens that he wants to listen to that smut on the recorder. Usually he's probably not getting anywhere near that thing because it's, he's recording a bunch of garbage. But tonight,
right?
Yeah.
I wonder.
He's in his glory.
I wonder how long that this cab thing has been going on. Maybe it's not that long that... you'd think by now Looney would realize that Trotter does not want to hear the kinky business that's going on in the back of his cab.
You gotta hear this kinky business.
So great.
This guy puts a pillowcase over this girl's head. Yeah. And you're right, because we know that at this moment when he meets with Terry Garr to, whatever their arrangement's going to be, it doesn't seem like it's been going on for too long. And so maybe what's the catalyst for him moving out?
Yeah.
Because he's moved out at this point, and he's going to move back in. That's what we know. He's going to move back in.
Yeah.
So maybe it is that he lost his job. He's lost his 16th job in a row. She can't take it. It's you and your gambling. That's what got it going. And so what choice does he have? He can't get a gig. All he could, because you have to imagine she can't, what kind of happy marriage is it going to be if he's doing this driving overnight cab nonsense while they're together?
Yeah.
They're going to have no time together. So I have to think this is probably more towards, like you said, it's probably kind of recent.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it's only been a few weeks, however long he's living on his own.
Yeah.
And now they think about a reconcile.
So maybe this is only the third or fourth time that Looney's trying to get him to listen to the kinky business on the tape. He hasn't had anything as good as the guy who puts the pillowcase over his broad's head. Maybe he hasn't had anything that good until tonight, right?
Yeah, I got you. Right. He's still he's hoping to bring him into that world.
Yes,
Jay's resisting.
Yes.
And so tonight I got something. This might do it for you. You become a poivite like me.
Thank you for visiting the Jockey Club, a look at the movie Let It Ride, one scene at a time. This episode was hosted, produced, and edited by me, Dan Delgado, and my guest was Eric Delgado. Music in this episode is from Epidemic Sound, and our podcast cover art is by Sean Labrie. If you enjoyed this episode, and I certainly hope that you did, then you can feel free to leave us a nice 5-star review wherever you can. So if you're listening on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or some other app that has the review thing, well, 5 stars is a nice thing to do. Or better yet, just tell another Let It Ride fan about it. If you want, you can contact me through email. It's dan@moviemaker.com, on Twitter @Dan_Delgado, or even better yet, find me on the Repod app, which is a great way to not only check out podcasts, but to interact with podcast hosts just like me. Find it in your app store and come by and say hello. And if you really enjoyed the show, then you can do the buy me a coffee thing. There'll be a link to that in the show notes, but it certainly is not required. We'll be back again next week, breaking down the third scene of Let It Ride. Thanks again for listening, and remember, you could be walking around lucky and not know it.